Right. So, my research journey began about 5 years ago in my car. I got offered a job here in Edinburgh as a research assistant, so I decided to make it with my car all the way to Edinburgh. And that requires crossing the channel from the north of France, you know. So I drove all the way to Calais, where you know the ferry is, and I got stopped by a policeman who wanted to check my passport. The back of my car was looking a little bit messy, you know, you had boxes and stuff, and he started grilling me about what I was doing here. I was like, what are your intentions? What are your plans? What do you intend to do in the UK? I was like, well, I got a job at Edinburgh Napier University. So he looked at me like quite blankly and was like, Napier? That's not a real university. I was like, okay. Am I at the Edinburgh University Student Union or what? Or I'm complete control. So, well, whatever. I was like, as a self-respecting Frenchman, the thing to do in this sort of situation is to call on the strike. Right? Usually you call the local trade union and they bring on their mobile sound system and play 1980s protest songs on it, you know, that's the way we protest, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot cooler than you guys. So no, instead I bottled it and I kept driving on. I guess that was an effort of integration into British society. Because also I had things, I had a place to be later on after I finished driving, so. Anyway, I am a researcher, but that's not my only quality, right? I happen to study computer science. Yeah, I hear you guys. Well, computer science, folks, you know, live in the dark, they write code all day, all night. They only interact with other people, you know, by email. Yeah, it's a terribly prejudiced thing to think. Terribly narrow-minded of you. It's true, though. It's terribly prejudiced, right? Ironically, I do work in the field of human-computer interaction, right? So that's the science, that's a subset of computer science, focusing on the interface between you and the computer, you know, make it easier and make it more pleasant to use. Right? It's quite a fascinating field. It's usually populated with 3 types of people, right? Engineers, who are good, but maybe not good enough to work in engineering projects. Social scientists and psychologists, who are good, but yeah, their field doesn't pay that well, so they come from computer science. And yeah, the last but not least, Apple fanboys. Yeah, I happen to tick 2 of the boxes, right? Guess them. Anyway, my work focuses on the workplace, right? I try to make meetings a lot more pleasant. You know, yeah. I'm focusing on meeting rooms and all the likes when people collaborate around the table with laptops and try to make it easier. One of the tools I use for that is ethnography. So it sounds, it's as dull as it sounds. It's basically me sitting through meetings all day. Yeah, that's not very different from the rest of academia, I will say. Except that I'm actually doing some work, right? Another tool we use is called paper prototyping. So we take cardboard cutouts, right, cardboard, and make cardboard cutouts of devices and computer systems, basically. And people play with them, that's right. So I'm at PhD level, but I'm using tools that you acquire in primary school. And there's one last thing where you like to use a lot, it's called the Wizard of Oz experiment. So what is that? Right? A guy sits at a machine, you know, and interacts with the machine. And what's happening is in the other room there's a guy putting different things on the screen and pretending that this is a real system and it actually works. That's what it's called Wizard of Oz experiment. It's also called Wizard of Oz because, just like the film, it's best enjoyed in perfect sync with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, right? Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, use Google, right? Because I'm here to make you laugh, not to teach you anything. Right? Anyway, I'm focusing on 3 areas in my research. One of them is called smart spaces. Smart spaces, just like they sound, they're spaces you can only use if you're smart. No, okay, there are basically meeting rooms of the future. When you come in, the meeting room is very smart. No? And the meeting room knows that you're going to have a miserable time for 2 hours. That the technology will adapt itself to make sure you can't blame it. The next thing I'm doing is called cross-channel interaction. So it's nothing to do with traveling on a ferry and being stopped by an illegal policeman. Right? So when you do something on the machine, then you leave it and you go home or you do something and you take it back from where you left it. A bit like Netflix, right? Except with work. That's quite interesting because basically it's the end of work-life balance, right? It's for those of you who are really about like flexible working patterns, that's great. Anyway, the last thing is the notion of context awareness. So basically you're in a meeting, your boss goes off for coffee or anything. What do you usually do? Well, you open YouTube, right? Or Facebook. But your phone, you know, your boss carries the phone in their pocket, basically. And when the boss comes back in, the room, the space, your computer knows it, and bam, the window's gone, right? So you won't get caught slacking off in the office. That's all great, but basically I've got an ethical dilemma now. It's like, end of work-life balance. 2, you know, no longer blaming technology, and 3, no longer slacking off in the office. So I got in a bit of a panic, and I started thinking, what will the Daily Mail say about this? Frenchman finds cure to slacking off in the office. Bloody EU immigrants threatening our great British way of life. So I sort of tried to drop the subject. 3 months of funding left, and I dropped it. And at the same time, my girlfriend left me because she couldn't stand me telling her how to use her computer properly. So I was in need of interaction. So I went to online dating websites. And I thought, oh, there's things to do here. And they don't really work, so I'm pretty sure there's a computer problem here, not a human problem, right? But example, that's real things. Girl, matching 83%. Oh, I'm sorry, you're a lovely guy, but I've decided to get back with my ex. It's 83%, how come? Another one, 93%. Yeah, it was great to see you those 2 times, but you know, you didn't walk me back to the train station. I don't want to date someone who's not concerned about I want to date someone who's a minimum concern about my safety. So I realized it was a dead end. One of my friends would say online dating is a mix of perseverance and desperation. She was a 95%. She didn't want to date me, so I stole the joke from her. So, perseverance and desperation, those 2 words reminded me I shouldn't be here, I should be home writing my thesis, right? And while I'm writing up, I realized I've got a conclusion to all my research, and it's a double conclusion. 1, I'm no good at interacting with humans. And finally, it's humans that we should be changing, not computers. Thank you.